It's the Fatboy Show, the number one station, RX Radio. Hey, how you doing? Fatboy here. And as we count down the days to the new year, which is precisely 1, 2, 3, 4 days, it is the 27th. December having 31 days means that New Year's will come in 4 days' time. Okay, so as we prepare to usher in the new year, many important things to think about as a country. One of those things being HIV and AIDS. A lot of people don't take HIV and AIDS seriously, Olive. They think that all that needs to be thought about is, Ebola and COVID and monkeypox, but AIDS is still there.
AIDS is still there and it is still killing people.
Apparently, as per the last count, 54,000 people perished in the year, which is a very high number within 1 year. 54,000. I think that was in 2021. So I don't know what the numbers for 2022 are going to look like. Isn't that 54,000 people too many? Why are people not taking precautions?
It was 54,000 people that were registered as having HIV/AIDS. Now that number went a little down from 70,000 the previous years, but it is still very high. And of course, in the new year next year, we will get to know the number of people that have contracted HIV/AIDS in 2022. The number is still high, and it is because Ugandans have become complacent when it comes to HIV/AIDS fighting.
Okay, so and the reason for that is why? Everyone wants to live for the moment now. People just want to have a good time and not care about what happens next.
I think it is partly because, first of all, we have become a society where sex is easily available. People just have sex anyhow with whoever they want to have sex with, as long as someone presents themselves. But also, I think the reason why people are not afraid of sex, rather HIV today, unlike in the 90s, is because now you can sit with me for years when I'm on medication and you have no idea. I look nice, I have a nice body, so you won't know until I tell you that I have HIV.
You know, when the ARVs came around and allowed people to live relatively, I wouldn't say normal, I mean, you're still sick, but would at least would be able to live a longer life without sort of the worst symptoms manifesting, and in many cases they could even live into old age. When that came around, it sort of gave people this idea of security, because it now no longer was the thing that was just going to radically change the way you looked. When I think of the AIDS campaigns of the late 80s, early 90s, what we used to be shown on television were people that literally looked like zombies.
Exactly.
Skin and bones. Skin rashes.
Yes.
Pale. Just hair falling out. Like everyone remembers Philly Lutaya, of course, the singer.
Of course.
And so that was it gave a very good indicator of how bad things can get if you get AIDS. And so everyone just got freaked out and became super careful, and our AIDS rate just dropped like this.
Exactly. Of course, there was a lot of, campaigns to fight HIV back then, even today. But right now, we have things like pre-exposure prophylaxis, and we also have post-exposure. And then now they're suggesting an injectable where you can get your medication every 6 months. Now,
wait. So I know post-exposure. That's like if you're a doctor and you prick yourself.
Yes.
Or if you're a woman and you're raped, they can administer these post-exposure prophylaxis to you in order to prevent you from being infected. Well, I guess you are infected, but it sort of just suppresses the...
Sometimes you're not really infected sometimes, but they are trying to get rid of any chance of infection.
And it actually works.
Yes, it does.
So the pre-infection, that one is it's like what, intended as a vaccine almost?
Yeah.
like before your appointment, you inject yourself and then you're good to go?
So, we have what they call discordant couples, where one person is infected and the other is not. And they can live a health lifestyle. They can live healthy without infecting the other. But now to do that, they're supposed to take the pre-exposure prophylaxis, so that in the time when they say they want to have kids, for babies, one partner is on that, so that it takes down the chances of them being infected.
I don't know, man. So there you are, a couple. One of you has AIDS. Are you really thinking to yourselves, hey, let's have a child?
Yeah, I know a couple. I forget their names, but there is a gentleman that has been very outspoken about HIV, and he married his wife when one of them didn't have, I forget who didn't have, and one had HIV/AIDS. So what they did, they are handled as a discordant couple, and they have 4 kids.
And they conceived all these children while
yes,
they were discordant.
So when they got to know each other, it was already known that one of them, I remember now, the guy is the one that was infected. So when they got together, the lady knew that my husband has HIV/AIDS, he's on drugs. So they went to the hospital, and when you go, there is all this information. The medics can guide you accordingly.
But do you have any idea how effective these pre-exposure medications are? Because I'd think that it would give people many bad ideas, like, say, I'm traveling to Thailand for a sex holiday.
Let me go have
or I'm
a
going
blast.
to South Africa for my, vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm going to the village for Christmas, as many have.
Yes.
So I'm going to go there and just have a field day with all the village belles who are happy to hang out with a guy from the city.
From the city. No, they're not, the drugs, at least in Uganda, the drugs are not that readily available. For instance, the post-exposure prophylaxis, they are normally administered or given to you in case there has been a rape incident or an accident. So you don't just walk into a pharmacy and say, oh, by the way, give me a sachet of pre-exposure or post-exposure prophylaxis. They must be prescribed because, by the way, they are very strong. I've had people who say that at some point, I have a friend who had an accident and he said they gave them to him, and at some point he had hallucinations.
Hallucinations.
They are that bad, and you must follow the dosage. What are you doing?
As in, they start seeing things.
Yes, you start seeing things, and apparently you must follow the dosage for a given period of time. I think 30 days or 60.
Okay, that's a bit cumbersome.
Exactly. But you see, some people are risking their lives and living recklessly because they know they can get the medicine, which is really sad.
This is really freaky, and so I guess I'm glad that the president has come out to issue this reminder that we need to step up this fight against AIDS. But with the complacency at hand now, I don't know if this is a lost cause. Do you think there's still do we still have a chance of beating this thing, or it's a case of learning to just live with it?
No, we still have a chance as long as we can remember that, first of all, as Uganda, we don't have enough money to treat everyone that has HIV. Currently, we have about 1.5 million people living with HIV. And now we are at a very crucial time when most development partners are actually pulling out. They are saying they had a point program and the years are ending, so the government of Uganda needs to start treating its own people. So there's going to be a time when the government cannot afford to take care of the new infections. Because they are saying, I talked to a gentleman on the branch talk from the Uganda AIDS Commission, and he said, what we have right now is enough for the 1.5 million. So please live your life carefully so that you do not add yourself onto the little that we have.
People have been complaining about the rough economic situation right now. I wonder if in some way it could contribute to a reduction in infections. Because
how so?
Given how impoverished people are now, I'm sure they're not going out on as many dates as they would have liked. But right? They're not flocking the bars and the clubs and buying the ladies all the drinks they like. I mean, what I mean is, in order for sexual activity to take place, you kind of need a conducive environment. And the most conducive environment is one in which you have money to blow. Because that's when you're in the clubs. That's when you're getting girlfriends in the university hostels. That's when you're acquiring second and third and fourth girlfriends and wives. That's when you're a bit more reckless. And also a lot more excited. You know, when you're broke, you can't even get horny.
But you see, you're speaking from a place of privilege, because the numbers of people, the new infections are not really among, let's say, the elite or middle class. They are there, but that is not the biggest number. The numbers of people that get infected on a daily are people from the poor communities, like the fishing communities. Like,
really?
Yes. Like in
with all this poverty, how do you even think of getting laid?
But you see, for you as a CEO, you are going to be stressed about business, about finding clients, whereas the man out there doesn't have a job, has nothing to live for apart from getting a horn and treating it.
Yeah, really? So what does that mean? So the busier you get, the less likely you're to be exposed to...
No, the busier you are, the more you may not think about having sex. But if you're broke, you have no job, you have nothing to do, you have a lot of time to think about getting with a woman or with a man. And that's why people from those poor communities are more infected. There are more cases of infections registered in such communities than in your typical elite class.
Now, I haven't seen the breakdown in terms of gender when it comes to these infection rates, but I have a sneaky suspicion that men are probably getting less infected.
Yeah.
Because obviously, whereas economic adversity would reduce drastically a man's ability to seek and procure sex, for a woman, economic adversity, in fact, creates more opportunity and incentive to seek out sexual encounters, particularly with men who they feel would be in position to assist. And because it's probably going to be a handful of men in that position, those same men are going to be dealing with several other ladies.
That's true.
So they're going to be dealing with the most high-risk men in order to obtain some sort of financial favor and assistance at a time when the economy is not in a good shape.
That's very
true.
Now,
the broke guys, for them, they are fine. No one's going to be bothering them.
Because they don't have money.
they don't have money. So they're going to be sitting at home for months not having any dates.
That's
crazy.
You're actually right. You're right on the money, because the newest infections, most of the new infections are mainly among the youth, and that is mainly still the females. So among women and girls, that is where the prevalence is as compared to men. And like you said, the small number of men that has the resources is the number of men that is also going to infect the young girls and the women.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is a very dangerous situation. So to the ladies, to the girl child, I say to you, the nation says to you,
why is it?
Do not fall prey to these rich predators who are now using this adverse economic situation in the country to exploit you for your sexual availability and desperation.
And in this day and age, it is self-defeating, and you really can't blame anyone. If you're educated and you have some money, you cannot really blame someone for infecting you with HIV, because you could have bought a home self-test. There is one for saliva, there is one where you prick yourself, and even HIV testing is free in most government health facilities, and of course, if you must pay for it, it's like 10K. So honestly, why should you be infected?
So you've got no excuse.
No excuse.
All right, well, let us come together as a nation and fight this thing called AIDS. Uganda, you can do it.